Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday morning. Manchester United are in Champions League action tonight, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to be here at 9:30, as I always am, Monday to Friday, with the live and interactive morning show. And I'll tell you what, it is live and it's going to be interactive as hell because we're talking about McFred. We're talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's about McFred yesterday in his pre-match press conference before the Villareal match tonight. He trusts McFred. Who knew? I mean, we all knew. I think that's actually the first time he's come out and said that he trusts McFred. But I want to look at Solskjaer's comments. I want to deep dive into those comments, basically pull those comments apart and discuss Manchester United's midfield problems. I honestly, what are we like? 6 games into the Premier League season. I'm bored. I'm so bored of having these discussions already, but it's the most important conversation that we need to have after Solskjaer has now come out and said he trusts McFred. So I'm going to run through all of those comments. I'm going to run through everything else that was said in the pre-match press conference ahead of Villareal tonight. All the team news about Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, looking at a ridiculous decision, I would say, yesterday in the Man City game, refereeing decision, which I want to speak about. I want to speak about Paul Pogba's fantastic new haircut. I want to speak about how Manchester United, look, it doesn't really matter whether or not, in my opinion here, it doesn't really matter whether or not Solskjaer trusts McFred because our midfield is going to be changing very, very soon. And I will explain that in a bit more detail. But as always, throughout the entire stream, you know what to do, ladies and gents. If you have watched by now, which I'm sure you have, make sure you leave your comments, leave your opinions. I'll try and get you involved in it and try and make it, as I said before, try and make it an actual point you're making. Rather than just shouting something at me, try and make a succinct point and I'll bring as many of your opinions involved in the show as possible. Let's go down here and see what we're doing. I can see Mark, Toth, you're watching. Rich, Voltage, you're feeling very chirpy this morning. Anaj, you're there. Thomas, you're there. Takeoff, Chris, Stefan, Josh, Ian. Plenty of you here in the comments already. But let's get straight into discussing what Solskjaer had to say. Because, let's be honest, it's not as if we didn't know that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer trusted Scott McTominay and Fred. We all knew it. It's been the case for a long time that Solskjaer's got a real affinity towards playing them. But I believe this is the first time he's ever come out and publicly backed him. And I found it a bit odd that Manchester United made quite a big deal actually about these comments from Solskjaer. And they tweeted about it straight away. They've done an article on it straight away. Solskjaer backs midfield pairing. And this is what Solskjaer had to say. Let's run through these comments before we head down here and we discuss this together. First of all, the stats for them two together. We've had many, many good results. Solskjaer told reporters, the energy they give us, the way we broke up play against Villa, I think they're very instrumental together in that respect. Energy and desire. I really like to have the two of them. There's two I can trust that will always give you what they've got. Fans will always have an opinion on any team selection when you've got good players like me. It's easy to say who should be playing, but it's harder to leave players out. Apology, by the way. I'm allergic to losing. The Man United have lost 3 games in a row, so I'm feeling a bit ropey. But I want to hear what your reaction is to these comments. Solskjaer saying that the energy they gave us, they're very instrumental together. I really like to have the two of them. They'll always give you what they've got. And for me, yeah, they will give you what they've got, but what they've got just isn't good enough overall for Manchester United. Now, I want to say my opinion here quickly before I head down and read yours. There is no doubt that in the right games, in the right situation, at the right time, that Scott McTominay and Fred are a good central midfield pairing for Manchester United. Nobody will argue that. I look at maybe PSG away as probably the prime example of when they really shone. That game, that night with Rashford and that penalty. Pogba was injured. I don't think Matic was fit to play. Everybody wrote United off. But the energy that we saw in midfield there from McTominay and Fred gave us such an ability to counter-attack. And this is the crucial aspect with McTominay and Fred. When United set up to play on the counter-attack, so expect us to play McTominay and Fred away at City, away at Chelsea probably, away at Liverpool this season. In these sorts of games where United are trying to play fast through the lines, trying to play the transition, going from front to back really quickly and basically negating the midfield, that's where Scott McTominay and Fred can work together. When United are hitting fast on the counter, they're good at winning the ball as early as possible and getting out to our attackers as quickly as possible. And in that sense, that's where you can play McTominay and Fred together and it works. However, and this is the problem with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, with McTominay and Fred, and all of our problems here that we all have together with McTominay and Fred. When you're playing Aston Villa at home, when you're playing West Ham at home, when you're playing Norwich City, West Brom, whoever you want to call it, when you're playing these mid-level teams, that's when the problems arise with Scott McTominay and Fred. Because not only do they let's quickly head to the tactical board and we'll discuss this together. When you play McTominay and Fred together here in midfield, their natural tendency, I told it to you, we spoke about this yesterday, their natural tendency is to drop a little bit deeper when United are in possession in defence. When the ball's getting knocked around defence here, whenever they then receive the ball, there's too much space between McTominay and Fred and Bruno. This area of the pitch here finds itself too empty. What we need really in most situations, what we need is this. And this is what's going to happen. And this is why I said it's going to be an interesting thing here. Because as much as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer here is saying that he trusts McTominay and Fred, and I said this yesterday on the stream, I'll say it again now. These sorts of comments are these could be the start. Don't be the architect of your own downfall here, Solskjaer. Don't be saying stupid shit like that, because McTominay and Fred, yes, they can be trusted, but it doesn't. You're ignoring the fact that they don't have the same ability on the ball, and it's the problems that Corelli is saying. I didn't expect him to say otherwise. I don't think anybody really expected him to say otherwise. But here's the issue, right? Well, we all know the issue with McTominay and Fred. On the ball, they're both weak. Out of possession, McTominay and Fred are quite good. McTominay's better, I would say, has a better passing range. I remember that pass that he did through to Ronaldo at West Ham. A really lovely through ball like that onto Ronaldo. He never really missed a touch, 2 touches. McTominay has got a decent passing range as such. But it's not the passing range that's the problem. It's his ability to control possession and control the game in the middle of the pitch here. But this is going to be the interesting thing, because for me, something's going to happen quite soon with our midfield that's surely a guarantee. And that's this. You're going to see Paul Pogba dropping deeper because Marcus Rashford's going to be back in the team. Marcus Rashford is going to be back and available. And I do not think, I do not think, I hope to God that we don't see Marcus Rashford being stationed out on the right wing. Greenwood, you wouldn't even play in that situation. It'll be Paul Pogba on the left wing. This is worst case scenario here. This is worst case scenario. You're talking about balance in the team. This is how to make a very unbalanced team. To keep McTominay and Fred in midfield, to play Paul Pogba on the left, and to play Rashford on the right. What United really need is this. You can play Sancho or Greenwood. It doesn't really matter who you've got there. But if you're looking at the most balanced Manchester United team that we could possibly have, it involves Paul Pogba in central midfield. Now, I've always said, and I think we've all agreed, that Paul Pogba's best position for Manchester United is probably not on the left wing. It's probably not central midfield. It would be there. It would be part of a midfield 3. That's why we all wanted that defensive midfielder. This is the one that has the most balance, the best shape, the best players in the best positions. That's what we need to see at United. That's what we can't see at United, though, because we have no midfielder here. And the key word here from Solskjaer, by the way, ladies and gents, is trust. He's saying that he trusts McTominay and Fred. Effectively, as Solskjaer admitting that I would rather trust 2 central midfielders to help us not lose the game than risk someone like Paul Pogba or someone else to play it further forward just in case we lost it. And you know what that comes from? I know what you're saying here, Sam. I feel like if we play with a higher line, the gap between Bruno and McFred will reduce. This is what we said all on. That was a big impact I was hoping Varane's going to have on us. And I still think he will have on us. But for me, you're talking about trust. This is what it all stems from. All right? This is the reason that Solskjaer is saying that he trusts McTominay and Fred. This is the reason why Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has this mindset that he just can't get away from. Because if you remember, who was our starting midfield in this game? It wasn't McTominay and Fred. It was the Nemanja Matic and Paul Pogba, which on paper really worked for United at the start of Solskjaer. I remember when he went on that blistering run at the start of his United career as manager. It's when Matic is on form and he can play that holding role better on his own, then it allows Paul Pogba to create from deep. And it allows you to play a more balanced front four. Now, Martial got sent off. We had to switch it up. We got pumped 6-1. McTominay and Fred both came off the bench in that game. Solskjaer has never been the same manager since, in my opinion. That game there has left such a lasting impression on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that I genuinely think he can't look past, because he's so scared of that happening again. It's almost like he can't look past McTominay and Fred. And that is a mindset and a blocker that Solskjaer has to get over, or he is going to be the architect of his own downfall. As I said there, and as I will reiterate, Scott McTominay and Fred, they're not a horrendous partnership together in certain situations. But what United need to see, as soon as Rashford comes back after this international break, basically, we're going to have to suck it up, right, ladies and gents? The next couple of games that are coming up for United, we've got Villareal, we've got Everton. We need to try and somehow get 2 results out of this. We're not a team that's in form right now. We're struggling. What we need to do is just try and win both of these games, however we can, and let's move on. Let's go to the international break, because as soon as the international break is done, I want to see something like this. I'm going to do a video on it. Definitely going to do a video on it, because it needs to be explained properly. Whether this person here is Fred or McT or Matic, whoever you want that person to be, that person has to sit behind Paul Pogba and allow that area of the pitch then to switch to a more dynamic central midfield. What you then get, if that happens, you will then get Fred or McTominay or Matic dropping deeper, and they will have Pogba, who will hover in this position to receive the ball from there. Therefore, you've got a straight line, or Pogba can create space over here. Bruno can drop there. You'll have an ability for Manchester United to play it out from the back. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, it looks so simple on paper. Of course, it's very simple on paper, and football's always different when it happens in real life. But the problem with Fred and McTominay is their natural defensive instincts. It's their inability to control the possession of the ball and control the middle of the park. That is the issue here that I've got with Fred and McTominay. That's my opinion on it. I'm going to go down now. I'm going to head and look at your opinion. So fire in your comments, fire in your super chats, and I will try and answer as many as possible. Chris, I can see you here. How you doing, Chris? Nice to see you. If you move the 2 DMs with our back 4, then move the two wide players forward. Just look at what's left in the middle. We'll never be able to control any game or dictate anything with an empty midfield. And that is the issue, man. That is the underlying issue, is as soon as you drop these 2 deeper, which is what happens when you play 2 defensive mids, and then you're either going to see Bruno playing further up, which he tends to do, really. He does like playing as a supporting striker. You're either going to create a huge gap here, or you're going to bring Bruno dropping deeper to try and help them. You're going to create a huge gap there. You can't have gaps that size on the pitch if you want to control the possession of the game. That's why you need that midfield that offers more dynamism, that offers players in different positions. Then you're going to get Sancho maybe dropping in and squeezing. You're going to get Ronaldo running out there, running wide. Sancho then running through in space. Look, movement fills spaces. That's what we need in midfield. That's why it doesn't work with Fred and McTominay in matches where United need to control possession of the game. In matches where United need to move fast between the lines in counter-attacking styles, Fred and McTominay works. In games against Villa at home, West Brom, Norwich, Burnley, whoever you want to call it, in those games where United need to control the midfield, Fred and McTominay will always hamper United. That is a given. But let's go down here and let me see what you're thinking about this in the comments below. Matthew, you're saying, I heard Rashford is expected back for the Leicester game. I wouldn't be surprised to see Rashford back. Rashford was back in training yesterday. He's been back in training for a good amount of time. I would expect Rashford back after an international break, if I'm being completely honest. So many good coaches and comments here. Whatever decides, OGS decides to do his strategy and game plan, you have no control and shut the fuck up. Trust Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to do his job. Win and lose, still a United fan. Look, Stephen, I can agree and disagree with your comment there. Yeah, I do back Solskjaer. I'm supporting him as a Manchester United fan, but I will definitely point out things that he gets wrong. I will always point out things that he gets right. And this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm not pure Ole in. I'm not pure Ole out. I'm supportive of Ole in the things he does right. And I'm very critical of the things he does wrong. And I want to see him correct those issues. And for me, coming out and just saying that you just blindly trust Fred and McTominay, Fred and McTominay, that is an issue. That is an issue because at the same time, you're throwing shade at Paul Pogba, saying, I don't trust you in central midfield. What's that going to do to Pogba's mentality? Nothing really. It's Paul Pogba, but it's a bit strange, really. We play like Big Sam football, defend with 7 players and just hit long balls to our front players and hope they do something. It's not how Manchester United should be playing. I wouldn't say that we play massive. The reason that we have to play like that is because we drop so goddamn deep. It's not because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and coaches McKenna and Carrick are telling Manchester United to play long balls. It's because when that opportunity comes to play those shorter passes, they're just not fucking available. And because they're not available, we've got no choice but to just take the ball. I don't know, Wan-Bissaka, see if he can get a big switch of play to Shaw or Rashford or Pogba, whoever's playing there at the moment. Our issue is the fact that the midfield just doesn't operate as a midfield. They operate more like 2 sweepers than they do 2 central midfielders. And it's because they've got a natural defensive aspect to their game. John, what are you saying down here in the comments? Let's have a look. 4-2-3-1 hasn't been the in formation for nearly 10 years. We honestly need to get our CDM. We're playing like a bottom 10 side when we should be attacking the smaller teams and dominating. I've always said that United need to come out on the front foot in games from now on. If we're going to try and change that mentality, it's why teams will always still come to Old Trafford and feel like they can get a result. That's never changed. It's not changed for a long time. Al, what are you saying? Regardless of our obvious midfield issues, I feel we are way too static up top of the pitch. It really doesn't help our midfielders distribute the ball with such a lack of movement at times. And I personally think, again, that's down to selection. That's down to balance in the team. That's why, for me, as soon as Rashford is fit, I swear to God, if I see a different front four than this, I'm going to flip. Of course, you could go Sancho or Greenwood on the right-hand side. That is the only fair comment I think anybody can have about who our front four should be. Sancho and Greenwood should be there on form. Whoever plays better there, do it right there. But what Greenwood doesn't do that Sancho does, Greenwood actually has. I mean, of course, Greenwood can play on both feet, but Sancho is someone who offers real natural width. Really going to be going out here and cutting to the byline and firing those crosses in. Greenwood too often gets in this position and he just kind of cuts back, shoots. Sancho, I want to see him get to the byline. I want to see Ronaldo get to the byline, and boom. That's a partnership that we need to see blossom this season at Manchester United. But look, just to hear Solskjaer say, and this is what I want to reiterate there, you can't hear Solskjaer saying, I trust McFred. Let me go back over his comments here and see what he said, because it just pisses me off, really, if I'm honest. First of all, the stats are then 2 together. And I'll be honest, I'm going to do a video on this. If someone wants to help me, get me the stats of Manchester United with Scott McTominay and Fred in midfield and without. I'll be interested to see what those two are, because we have had some great results. The energy they give us, the way we broke up play against Villa, I think they're very instrumental together in that respect. Energy and desire. I mean, energy and desire don't win you football games, man. Don't come at me with passion and DNA, and don't skip back to the old Solskjaer that was there at the start that needed to speak in cliches, because at that point we needed cliches to get rid of where we were. He says, I'd really like to have the two of them. They're two I can trust that will always give you what they've got. And as I said, at that same time as him complimenting Scott McTominay and Fred, that's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer throwing shade at Matic, shade at Donny van de Beek, shade at Pogba, that he can't trust them, that they won't always give you what they've got. Fans will always have an opinion on any team selection, but when you've got good players like me, it's easy to say who should be playing. It's harder to leave players out. I mean, saying that, you haven't found it very difficult to leave Donny van de Beek out, have you? So I wouldn't say it's harder to leave players out at all. That goes down to choice. You're kind of contradicting yourself there when you're saying it's hard to leave players out when you do it all the time with certain ones. Lu Wei Chang, I think you were a member before, but if not, welcome aboard. Everybody, if you'd like to get involved in the channel, please. I keep saying this. It's mad how quiet I see it in the channel. When we're winning, everybody's here. Everyone wants to talk. Everyone firing in comments, firing in opinions. When it's a situation like this, people don't want to come and talk. People don't want to chat. But it's at these particular moments in time where you need to talk more, where you need to talk about the problems. Don't just shout and point at something. It's about talking about the issues and seeing what we can do to improve. Hell, I'm not going to be able to do it. None of us are going to be able to do it. But it doesn't mean that we can't have these conversations together. Raise United, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you in the comments. I'm doing good. Well, nice to see you here. Ivy, I was watching our goals from 2007 to 9, and we have 4 or 5 players in and around the box. That's not the way we play now. I mean, you are comparing us right now to what I would say is quite possibly the best team we've ever had. That 2007, 2019 was electric. Electric going forward, so much pace, so much movement. But we also had the ability to control it in midfield. We had, was it Scholes? We had Carrick. We had Ronaldo. We had Tevez. We had Rooney. Hargreaves came in. Jesus, man, that team was so ridiculous. Anthony, you're saying with a minimal playtime VDB has had, he's given everything he could give, and it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed how Solskjaer thinks. And as I said, this for me is a mentality thing, and it all boils down to that. Boils down to the fact that we got pumped 6-1 at home at Old Trafford, and he played Matic and Pogba in midfield, and he switched those out during the game for Fred and McTominay. Obviously, the red card with Martial did not help that whatsoever. But trust me, I think that's a huge reason why Solskjaer is so... he's got it so embedded in his head that McTominay and Fred is all he can play in midfield that he can't seem to get away with it. Let's have a look up here in the comments. Someone there that caught my eye. Connor, you can't trust Pogba and the CM in the Premier League because he's too lazy to play in that position. Matic is past it, and Van der Beek was out position nearly all game of the League Cup against West Ham. Goals came from him watching the ball. So, yeah, I agree with Ole. Right, so Connor agrees that McFred is the midfield that Manchester United should be playing. What do you think about that? For me, I think because Rashford's coming back, and because we've got Sancho and Greenwood, I think he's got to play Rashford on the left, which therefore means he's got to play Pogba in the middle. Welsh Cronk Gaming, that was a comment that caught my eye. Let me see this. Used to enjoy this channel, but it's starting to turn into another United stand. Ole in, Ole out, blah, blah. Let's just be United fans and get behind the manager and the team, no matter how frustrating it gets. I mean, I don't know how you can say that, really. I'm not here flopping Ole in or Ole out. I am 100% Ole in, sir. You know I am. Everybody knows I am. Everyone has a go at me about it. So many people call me deluded about it. But I point out things that I believe my manager is getting wrong because I want my manager to be successful, to win the fucking Premier League, to win the Champions League, to win it all. And I don't think you're going to do that just by playing Fred and McTominay in midfield in certain games, in certain situations. Trust me, it's a midfield that works. Away at PSG, the prime example of that. But in games here where you need to dominate and actually control possession in midfield, that's what Fred and McTominay just cannot do. They are not possession-based midfielders. McTominay is a box-to-box midfielder, and Fred is a box-to-box come... I don't really know what Fred's... When we interviewed Fred here on United People's TV, Fred said, look, I like to be more in an attacking sense. It's completely opposite of what he is now. But you can't fault his work rate. No, you can't fault his work rate. But work rate only gets you so far, man. Work rate only gets you so far. And in this midfield that we have now, and I've told you this before, it's the compromises that we've been making. And we haven't compromised in defence. We've got Varane, we've got Maguire, we've got Shaw and Sancho, Shaw and Bissaka with De Gea. There's no compromising in that defence whatsoever. Up front, you've got Ronaldo, Bruno, Greenwood, Sancho, Rashford. There are no compromises there whatsoever. But when you go into midfield, you see compromise, and you see compromise everywhere. And this is the issue that all Manchester United fans have. It's that compromise. And sometimes in certain games, that compromise makes sense because you can get the ball quicker to your attackers. You can hit on the counter faster with McTominay and Fred in. And while Pogba certainly doesn't have, I would say the biggest criticism I've got of Paul Pogba in central midfield is when he receives the ball and there's someone pressing onto him, he seems to be, he always takes an extra touch, or he's always a little bit too slow to the ball. And for someone who's got such a great physique, he doesn't really use that enough. And he does get pushed off the ball way too often in central midfield. Yagam, exactly. That's what people don't understand. To criticize Ole doesn't mean we want Ole out. Mate, people are saying I would say anybody who simply just says blindly, follow Solskjaer and agree with every decision that he makes, you're just as bad as people who are just shouting Ole out for no reason whatsoever. You have to be balanced. You have to be in the middle of that seesaw. Maybe not the middle, but you have to see what's right and what's wrong and try and bring them both together to make the right changes that we need. Because I'm hoping, as I said, I'm hoping that it gets forced onto Solskjaer when Rashford's back. Because trust me, Rashford is going to be starting. Rashford's straight in that starting 11, and we've missed him. We've definitely missed him. Imagine how dangerous Rashford was towards the end of last season. That was when he wasn't 100% fit. Imagine what Rashford's going to be like when he's 100% fit as well. He's going to add a lot to our left wing, for sure. And therefore, we need to see Pogba dropping slightly deeper. Now, either that means he's going to switch to a 4-3-3, which I don't think is going to happen. Either he's going to switch to playing Pogba and Bruno as the two more central midfielders in front of one holding midfielder. I don't think that's ever going to happen until we sign someone like Declan Rice. And I'm not sure if that's going to happen now. Apparently, we're getting linked with Calvin Phillips as well. Different options. We'll speak about that at some point. But it's either Paul Pogba plays on the left wing and you force Rashford to play on the right and you play two players, I would say, not in their ideal positions, or you switch it up. You move away from McTominay and Fred. That has to happen at some point. Solskjaer, man, you can't stick with McTominay and Fred if you've got all that quality elsewhere. I think Solskjaer is just doing what Solskjaer does best here. And Solskjaer doesn't throw players under the bus in public, ever. He supports his players. It's his style of management. And I'll be honest, so many of us were angry, really pissed off with how Mourinho treated his players. In public, he criticized them heavily. You can't then go from a manager that criticizes his players in public and be pissed off with it to someone who publicly supports his players and doesn't criticize them and get pissed off with that as well. You can't get pissed off at both of them. There has to be one style that you agree with. I think it's simply because it's McTominay and Fred that he's coming out and saying that about. Robert, we bought Varane to play one CDM and we needed Sancho on the right wing. Yeah, we did. But both of them. I always said that central midfield signing was the most important thing that we needed to make this summer because it just changes the whole balance of everybody. It changes the whole balance of our defense, the whole balance of our attack. All revolves around that midfielder we don't have. They deserve criticism, says the Premier League. Don't know what the Premier League's doing here. Everyone deserves criticism. Let's have a look. There's a nice comment there. David, great show, Sam. Listening in Adelaide. How you doing? Watching United since 74, 75 and up to the end of the Fergie era. We always attack down the wings. What's happened to that system? Fred is there to break up play, but he has to be able to distribute as well. Pogba is a world-class footballer in the right setup. Teams know how to set up against our predictable midfield. Very nice comment there, David. Nice to have you joining in from out in Adelaide. Man United have moved away from width, really, for a long, long time. Probably since that 07-09 team. And even then, we kind of drifted inside a bit. But we did play with some real width there. We played a 4-4-2. 4-4-2 was always the formation that we've had. But that's why I believe we signed Jadon Sancho, to add some real width back into our team. We haven't seen that yet because I don't think that Sancho has been given enough opportunities to play on the right wing. So many people say, look, Sancho played on the left wing for Dortmund. Yeah, he played both positions. But Sancho's better on the right. That's down to an opinion. But in midfield, like you got it there, Fred is very good. Honestly, man, you can criticize Fred all you want, but he's good at breaking up the play. He's good at intercepting. He's good at causing breaking. He is good at breaking up the opposition. He's just not good at starting something for United going forward, which is why if you're going to play Fred, McTominay is not the best partner because that's also a weakness of his game. It's a bit like when you play last season. It's very good. That's a good comparison I've got in my head here. Lindelof and Maguire last season. Both of them are good defenders. But play Lindelof alongside Maguire, you see the flaws of both of them being exposed. They exacerbate their own issues and they make each other look worse in that respect. The same goes for Fred and McTominay in midfield. What they're both good at, they're both bad at. So therefore, the stuff that works properly with them in midfield and them breaking the game up, and they can do that. But they can't distribute it properly. And their distribution in midfield is get it the fuck away from me as quickly as possible. I don't want responsibility of this ball. It's our midfield plays hot potato. And we can't have that. You can't have that in a team that deserves to dominate. With the squad that we have to deserve to dominate. Simple as that. And that's why I think Paul Pogba should be dropping deeper. Look, I would like to see Paul Pogba play at the front of a midfield three in a 4-3-3, but that's not going to happen. We're not going to switch that formation. So therefore, I need to get more out of Paul Pogba in his 4-2-3-1. And he actually does play there for France sometimes as well. Or I can see here in the comments, Sam, can you promote the Discord and the weekly Zoom calls if members want to voice their opinions? Yes, I can. Now, on the Discord channel, for all the members and everybody, actually, I'm going to pop the link in here. The Discord, I've set the Discord up, United People's TV Discord. There are quite literally thousands of Reds already on there. If you would, please head over there to the Discord server and join. And if you're a member, drop me a DM because there's a separate members chat in there where just the members go on Facebook and YouTube together. So please head over there, drop me a DM if you're a member. We'll get you added into the chat because we're going to start doing some more members content, some Zoom calls, maybe some match previews. I don't know, plenty of stuff, but I want to give you more as a member. And if you'd like to join as a member, down below, like Lu Wei Chang, he's upgraded today. Big up to you, Lou. Hit that join button and support United People's TV. Please get involved. I want to make this community as big and as interactive and as involved as possible. So please, if you would, hit that join button and become a member. You can do it on Facebook as well. There's a little link in the description of this video. Just click that. It's less than the price of a pint. I always say that, but it's true. Or like an expensive can of Coke in a pub. That's a really expensive can of Coke, actually. 2-3 quid. But come on, get involved. And I'd like to have you on board here. Can we imagine, says Chris, we smash Villareal tonight and McFred have an amazing game? Look, it could happen. I don't think it will happen tonight. Remember that Villareal have got a ridiculous record. Their results this season, they drew against... They've not lost this season, but I think they've only won like once or twice. They've got like 5, 6, 7 draws. And we've played Villareal 5 times and we haven't really won, I don't think. And we lost in the Europa League final. Oof. Dave, great to have you on board, Dave. I'll speak to you in the private group on Facebook there. Let me go down to here in the comments. Lisa saying thank you. Well, thank you, Lisa. That's a lovely dog you got there. Andy, you're saying I disagree. Fred can win the ball a few times. He also gets bodied a lot. Hey, I'm not saying that Fred is a perfect ball breaking up. I don't know how to describe it. He's not a perfect midfielder in that sense. But if you're looking at the strengths of Fred's game, that is the strength of Fred's game. That's why Solskjaer trusts him, because of the interceptions and the way he puts himself about on the pitch. But that only gets you so far. That's it. If you're going to focus on that, you're going to focus on not losing games rather than focusing on trying to win games, which is going to be Solskjaer's downfall. And I don't want Solskjaer to fall down. I want him to step upwards. That's why I need him to move away from this protective obsession that Fred and McTominay give him. And it's not flawless either. We haven't even kept a clean sheet this year, have we? So it's not as if they're making our defense infallible, but they're taking away from our ability to play it forward. Vishwa, how you doing? Watching from Malaysia. Ole put direct pressure on by McFred by saying whatever he said. Ole's way of challenging his players. I don't think that's a challenge. I think that's pretty much Solskjaer just coming out and just saying what he truly thinks. I don't think there's too much to look into it. He does trust McFred. And as I said, that all for me stems down to that 6-1 against Spurs. I think he got stung more in that game than anybody will ever know. And I wish somebody spoke to him about that in the press conference and see if you can get a nice answer out of him. Anthony, if we sign Rice in January, do you think he will drop Fred or make the same mistakes? He's dropping him. In the same concept as last year, Lindelof was pretty much undroppable alongside Maguire. As soon as Varane comes in, gone. As soon as someone better comes in that midfield and we can switch it, he will switch away from that. But I think he's got to do that as soon as Rashford's fit. Because then you've got a front four of Rashford, Bruno, Sancho and Ronaldo. And then you've got a midfield of Pogba. And either Fred, probably Fred, or Pogba and McTominay, I'm not really sure. Show Ole some respect. I can see in the comments, you can't sack every manager. No, you can't. Sam, what are your thoughts on Brozovic from Inter? That sounds like a Mourinho type player. I think we were linked with Brozovic, weren't we? Hey, look, Kessie's going to be available, I believe, on a free. I'll do a video. Like, drop a like on the video. I've noticed this, actually. Hardly anybody is dropping likes on a video now. Come on, people. I know United are not in the best frames of mind at the moment. And it's a bit frustrating, but drop a like on a video. Come on. Don't be stingy. Derek, what are you saying? Haven't seen your name before. He's leaning with that midfield. He trusts them, but they ruin the balance. They sit deep. No one can step out to pick a pass. Derek, Spot on. Spot on. No one can step out to pick a pass. That is the issue. That's the issue with the distribution. And whatever defensive bonuses Fred and McTominay give Manchester United, it's taken away by the fact that they can't distribute the ball. I'll be honest, I'm going to do a video, an in-depth video next week, the problem with McTominay and Fred, where I'm going to detail all of this with stats and facts. And if Solskjaer is going to say here that the stats show that McTominay and Fred are good together, I'm going to show also that McTominay and Fred are not good together in certain types of games. And that's what Solskjaer has to manage as the manager. He has to know when McTominay and Fred is the right partnership to use in midfield. And he has to know when it's not. And not just default to McTominay and Fred. That's what he doesn't do at this moment in time. Fred misses more tackles per game than all of his counterparts, says James. Well, I don't know if that's true or false, but Fred puts in so many tackles and he misses a fair few, but he probably makes more than anyone per game as well. And I would argue he probably makes more interceptions per game than anybody in this United team. Stefan, what are you saying? Yes, the midfield is a problem at the moment. However, we have to make the best of it and try to strengthen ourselves in winter. I don't think... I'd love to see United go after a midfielder in January. Imagine that we can just keep ourselves in the mix. That's what I almost feel like we have to do with this team we've got, with this midfield we've got. I don't think we'll ever be like flying top of the Premier League, not with the midfield that we have. But we've got so much quality elsewhere that we should be in and around. But bear in mind what we've got coming up in October. By the end of October, there's either going to be a new wave of positivity coming through United fans, or they're going to be louder shouts for Ole out than ever before after we play Leicester, Spurs and Liverpool in October. So after that, we're going to really kind of find out where we are with this team and with that midfield. James is saying, Sky showed the stats yesterday for Fred. Worst tackling, worst possession, worst pass accuracy, most missed tackles. Ooh, he's looking good with the old stats there. But look, can you send me, if anybody's got stats like that, please send them to me on Twitter at @SamPeobles_. I'm going to be putting a video together looking at it in a bit more detail. So any stats you can send me, that'll do. Andy, what are you saying? I haven't seen anything this season from Ole to prove me wrong. Football is a hard watch. If you go to Liverpool, Chelsea, they're just going to sit high and counter like Arsenal did last season. 4-1 against Newcastle. That was only really good in the second half, I would argue, after we conceded. The 5-1 against Leeds on the opening day of the season, I wish we could play Leeds every day, really. When you play against a team like that comes at United and leaves space, you'll see Fred and McTominay play very, very well. You'll see Manchester United play very, very well. We all know that. Against those teams that sit in the deeper and more disciplined shape, that's why that midfield possession and retention is so important, because if you try and kick it up too fast, you're just going to be put on the back foot. You're going to be put on the back foot way too easily. And that's what happens to United all too often. Let me head up and look. I'll read a few more of your comments out. Hey, look, if you're new here, United People TV, welcome aboard. I know it's a bit quiet at the moment, but everyone's feeling a bit glum, I would say. I always notice it in the swings and the videos and the swings of how many people are watching, how many people are commenting. I had twice the amount of people watching only like a week or so ago, a week or two ago. But that's what happens when United are not playing well. No one can be asked to talk about them. But let's go up here and quickly look at a few other things that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said ahead of the game tonight. So Luke Shaw's been in training. Maguire is out. I don't personally think that we're going to be seeing Shaw or Maguire against Villareal, and I don't think we should either. I don't think you should risk either of them. We've already spoken about Scott McTominay and Fred. And then this is an interesting one, actually. His reaction to Gary Neville's comments here. The pressure almost rises when you lose a couple of games, and your former teammate Gary Neville has called for a clearer style of play and claims that you're not playing well enough as a team to win the league. What's your comment on that? And this is what Solskjaer had to say. I've not read that and I've not heard it, but of course, when you're working on your style of play, you're working on patterns. You're in possession game, you're out of possession game. The Villa game, we broke up play really well defensively. Maybe we attacked too fast. I mean, that's a huge problem. We didn't have the midfield to retain the possession. Therefore, we had to play fast. We want fast attacking play. Yeah, to a degree. I would rather have just dominant controlling play rather than speed. Speed isn't everything. Speed is not everything. Gary Neville knows that, and everyone that's been associated with United know we want to keep up the tempo and attack quickly. Maybe we did it too fast because you look at the stats. I don't think I've seen any games with less efficient playing time. 45 minutes effective playing time the ref gave us, probably one of the lowest I've seen. What the hell is he talking about? Normally you're up, blah, 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 blah. We need more control. If you slow, and this is it. This is why people kind of get annoyed with Solskjaer, because he says good things like we need more control. If you slow it down too much, it might be against a low block again defending. We do need more control, and if you need more control, you can't always have Fred and McTominay in midfield. They won't ever give you that control. So you can't, at the same time as you saying, I trust McFred, you can't then say that we need more control, because you're a hypocrite. You've gotten two contrasting statements there. Or when Ollie's back was against the wall, he played McFred and his trusted players got him out of trouble. Let's just hope it works for him again. And it's exactly it, or exactly it. It's not just that 6-1 against Spurs. I think there's been 3 occasions, at least 2 occasions, I would say 3 occasions, where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his job has been on the line. We're thinking Solskjaer is going to get sacked. And he hasn't got sacked because the players have responded. The players have really shown him that when the back's against the wall, they're going to turn up for him. And that's where this trust comes from. The trust doesn't come from the fact that those players are good enough to win Manchester United trophies. The trust there stems from the fact that when his job is on the line and when the pressure's really on, they stood up and delivered. And it's the underdog mentality. The underdog mentality that United just need to switch and get rid of, because we are very good at that. And trust me, that's why I said, man, expect United to probably go and beat Villareal tonight and probably beat Everton at the weekend. When our backs are against the wall, we turn it up. We turn it on. And we're like, Jesus, why can't we just play like that every week? But then once we reach that plateau where Solskjaer's job's not really at risk again, then all of a sudden, we play shit again. And that cycle repeats. And that will always repeat itself when you play with a regressive mentality of having Fred and McTominay there to protect you. We don't need protection. Obviously, you need a certain degree of protection, but we need more attacking, distribution, and midfield control, which we'll never get from Fred and McTominay. Simple as that. How you say, GJ? Hey Sam, everyone. Been a while since I was available for this. GJ, nice to see you here as a member of the gang. Been a while. Great to have you on board. Matt Lou, it's 3-2 in Denver, Colorado. What are your ideas? 3-2. First of all, get to bed, mate. Come on. You're not going to be able to stay out for the game later. Anyway, Matt, nice to see you. My team for the game tonight, if you didn't see it yesterday, in my predicted 11, I'm going De Gea in goal. I'm going Telles and Dalot as our 2 fullbacks, with Lindelof alongside Varane. I think that's going to be our probably backup there to Maguire. I think Lindelof is actually a good backup to Maguire, and I'm fine with that. Midfield, I'm going for McFred. This is a predicted 11. And I've said this in the video. Predicted 11, not preferred 11. Maybe I should start doing that. Would you, let me know in the comments now, actually. Would you rather I did a preferred 11 every week or a predicted 11? What I think Solskjaer is going to play or what I would like to see United play? Which would you rather me do? You let me know in the comments below. But I think it'll be McFred in midfield. And that's because we're changing 3 of our back 4, man. We've got Dalot, Telles, and Lindelof in there. If there's ever going to be a game where he wants to add some sort of defensive solidarity, I think it's definitely going to be this game. I'm going Bruno in the middle. I can't remember what I did up front. I think I did Sancho on the right, Ronaldo up front, and Pogba on the left. That's kind of what I think I did. Can't remember though. But I don't know. I don't really know. So have a look. Predicted versus preferred. We're saying both. Ah, maybe I'll do that then. Maybe what I'll do with my team is I'll do my predicted 11, and at the end of it, I'll do my preferred 11, and I'll explain why the differences are. Hey, do both in the same video. There you go. As Josh says, that's why I listen to you. That's why I listen to the community, and I'm really excited for this season to keep going on and keep going on upwards, because I want this community to get bigger and better. I find it to be the most interactive and interesting community that I've built so far. I'm really enjoying it. Everything coming together with the mad mods that they are. Geez, in that WhatsApp group. But make sure you head over to the Discord and get involved in that. And there's something I really want to touch on here before I do wrap up tonight, and it's something that really pissed me off. Really pissed me off. You know, you remember this. This was Aaron Wan-Bissaka getting a straight red card for a tackle against Young Boys. And this was Kevin De Bruyne last night. In my opinion, that's a far worse challenge. That is a far worse challenge. That is a whole foot up his calf. And what happened? Well, nothing really. De Bruyne got away with a slap on the wrist, a yellow card, carry on. Where's the consistency, ladies and gentlemen? Where is the consistency? That's the only thing you can call for in football. If Wan-Bissaka is going to get sent off for that, how in the fuck is De Bruyne not getting sent off for that? That's an insane decision. Really insane decision, the fact that he wasn't sent off. And that it just annoyed me. It really, really annoyed me. So that's why I pulled that one out. Something I saw that maybe crack up as well. I had to do a tweet about this. Paul Pogba, he's got his new haircut for tonight. It's a serious haircut. Oh, Graham Souness. Then Graham Souness with the haircut. One more time. One more time. And that's a hell of a haircut from Pogba. Oh, Graham Souness. Nice haircut. So therefore, that made me laugh. That made me laugh. So I wanted to show you that. Because you know what? It's not all doom and gloom at United. It's not all doom and gloom. Reggae, what are you saying? Cavani, Ronaldo, and Sancho up front. What can you say to that, Sam? That is what I think Gary Neville chose as his best 11, which kind of made me laugh. I'm going to do a video on that next week as well. Gary Neville's best Manchester United. There's going to be a lot of cracking videos coming out next week. It's the international break, and I'm going to take that as an opportunity to do some more really in-depth videos. The videos that I really like doing, the videos that you've enabled me to do more of by joining, by firing in your super chats, by supporting the channels. But I'm going to wrap it up here for today. Remember that I'm going to be here tonight around about 7 p.m. opening the United Legacy Arms. You're going to join in. I'll have my headphones in, and you can have your say as members. If you want to be involved in that, please join as a member. I'm going to always try and keep that exclusively for members only. Maybe I'll open it up a couple of times, see how busy we can get the arms. But that'll be there at 7. I'll be here after the game as well with my match reaction. You know where to come for that. But ladies and gents, thank you very much for joining in today. It's been an interesting debate. As I said, I'm going to be doing a more in-depth video on McTominay and Fred next week. The problem with McTominay and Fred. That is the title of the video. That is coming. If there's any other big video ideas you've got for me, you know where my DMs are on Twitter at @SamPeoples_. But make sure you come to United Legacy Arms later on. I'll be there. I'm sure you will be too. And hopefully tonight we can bury, because we need to bury, man. Anything but a win tonight, the pressure's going to crank up to the gigawatts on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.